Welcome to the All Booked podcast, where librarians Ashley, Justin, Brittin, and Rosa talk about what they're reading and adding to each other's TBR list.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the All Book Club. We are your RPL librarians, and we're back for another month of our reads. And this is our fourth season, episode 6, and going to drop on March 6th. Brittin, take it away.
All right, so Into the Sunken City by Dinesh Thiru, I believe is how you say it. Such an amazing book. It is a science fiction dystopian homage to Treasure Island. We're set in the future, 500 years or so after this major event that they call the stitching, where the clouds have basically all come together and formed a 24/7 year-round blanket over the earth. It rains all the time, everywhere except for some of the highest mountain ranges in the world. So North America is now an archipelago. I hope I'm saying that right.
We did it.
And it's hard to get food. It's hard to work. It's a different world.
It's tough,
right?
It's tough in this city.
It is. And it's very atmospheric. They do a really good job of making you feel like you just need to dry off. Like, I really need to dry off. So the Treasure Island homage. Jin and her sister Thara are running an inn and struggling. Their father did what a lot of people do for money, which is dive down to, it's like Vegas drowned or once Phoenix, and every place is now like the drowned or yeah. So their father died while diving for treasure. So they've decided they're never diving. They're going to make it work. But then, of course, in comes a mysterious stranger to stay at their inn who has a suspicious bag of gold coins stamped Treasure Island. Eventually, Jin is very suspicious of Beely is her name. But Thara kind of gets won over, and Beely convinces them to help her go to Vegas drowned, to the Treasure Island casino, where she has a map to the vault, essentially, with 50,000 gold coins. And, right.
The plot thickens.
It's a very dangerous journey. I think it might be illegal. They need some workarounds. Something's happening in Vegas, or maybe it's just too dangerous because of some of the sea creatures that have evolved over the years.
Awesome.
And of course, we're dealing with pirates. So, pirates have a tendency to double and even triple cross you, and they're all in it for the money.
And 2024 is the year of the pirates in YA books.
Yeah.
Like every book has some sort of, including mine, but after you.
So it's got tons of action. You're really gobbling it up, trying to see what's going to happen. You're never quite sure who. I mean, Jin is our narrator, so you and Jin are busy going, well, what's he doing? Why is he doing that? Well, and all she wants is to protect her sister.
Okay.
And she has an ex-boyfriend who's in there too, and he's, needed because he's in the Coast Guard, so he can get them past. And it's just amazing. Amazing world building, really great writing, very vivid imagery, and pretty complicated characters who are backstabbing left, right, and center.
Which is surprising because it's not that long.
No. No.
But
it's not.
To me, that's a sign of a good writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it does move very fast, very fast. It's gotten a ton of really great reviews. And
I was very
just
excited when you walked
it.
in and said you were going to talk about it, because I actually did put that on my TBR list.
I can't recommend it enough. I think I have one question about it.
Okay.
And this is kind of an own voices angle. Jin is female.
Okay.
It's written by a male. And just kind of like, why? Like, why did you have to make her a female. I don't think he does a bad job.
Okay.
I would not, pick it apart, any of it, but it's just kind of interesting.
Okay.
I
why.
listened to a podcast episode in which he talked about his book, and he was basically saying it was like he's an only child, and he really wanted to explore this sort of sisterly dynamic, because like he's always wanted one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he wanted to do it through the lens of like a brown female MC, because I think his favorite book, he reads it a lot, is Treasure Island, but he says it's always like a straight white male who's able-bodied.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And the characters there's a lot of diversity. Jin and Thara are of Himalayan descent, I believe. Tame, I believe is how you say her ex-boyfriend's name. He appears to be, I'm going to say Latino, but also Black. He's got 2 moms. There's, lots of good stuff in here.
Awesome.
Really, I'm not sure how many Caucasian people are in this story, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Interestingly enough. But anyway, I just gobbled it up.
Awesome. All
Yes.
right.
It was like a 2-day read. Just
Dude, me
Yeah.
too. It's so funny that you say that, because I'm
done.
I will go.
I went way longer than I needed to. I apologize.
It's all good. So I read Marc J. Gregson's The Sky's End. It is part of a trilogy called Above the Black. It's his debut novel. It's like YA novel. He usually writes for adults, and it did not disappoint. This was, you listened to it, right? This was awesome. So let me kind of build the world here a little bit. So they live on this island, and I cannot pronounce this. Every time I think about it, I think of Megamind. Metrocity. It's Metrocracy.
What?
That's the word.
Hold on.
They live on Homestead. He's from Homestead.
Yes, but the country that they
Meritocracy.
rule. Meritocracy.
You have it
I know, because I struggled. I don't know why, because I'm thinking of Megamind.
No, it's
Whatever.
meritocracy.
Exactly, meritocracy.
But she had it.
Thank you.
She had it phonetically
I was
spelled out
trying,
next
but
to it.
my mind
I
still
love it.
goes directly to
Just
the
don't make me
incorrect
say
thing. Anyways.
archipelago again.
You did it again. See, we're good.
Anyways, so it's basically just kind of, it's a floating island on Homestead, and you find that the world now is like a bunch of floating islands, and people get to places on these wind-like ships. And basically, the world that they live in, the classes, they're divided. You're either a high, a medium, or a low. So the way you kind of rise up is if you basically like challenge somebody to a duel, or if you enter a trade and kind of move up through the ranks. So enter our main character, who is Conrad. He's 16, and basically he was a high, but then his uncle, who murders his father, basically brings him down to the lowest of the low. So now he's like basically suffering in the slums with his dying mother, like who is very, very sick. Spoiler alert, but it kind of ruins it the first like 2 pages of the book, so it doesn't really matter. Like, she dies. Did I mention there are these steel, like, scaled gargantuan monsters that just like attack these islands?
There's a bunch of different monsters,
Yeah.
but the Gargantons are really
so
they're the big things.
These guys are the big kahunas that you have to watch out for, because like they will just attack your island whenever they want to, and eat you basically. So he basically now has nothing to do but to kind of take his uncle's offer and enters into the trades of, and he becomes a hunter. And basically what he's trying to do now is to basically figure out a way to rise and become a highborn again in order to save his sister. Like, his sister was kidnapped by the uncle, and like, who knows what he did with her. Like, we have no idea at this point until the end. So basically now he is chosen to be a hunter who is like basically like the cutthroats. Like, they are the ones who hunt down these gargantuans, and they basically now have entered like a trial period called the Gauntlet. And like, not only do you have to worry about these monsters attacking and killing you, you also have to worry about the people on your ship trying to kill you and like trying to murder you as well.
Because you want to be the captain.
The captain, exactly. Right. And, you know, the only way to do that is to conspire to kind of corral people to be like, hey, if you go on my team, this is what's going to happen. It's crazy, but it's so good. It's so well done, and it's fast paced. It's very, very reminiscent of like the Hunger Games, whereas like everybody, like we know the world sucks at this point, and they have to like all are like in a like basically like class system where they just kind of like you either living there and just kind of like going about your life, or you're trying to like do something about it.
Makes me think of Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, like that world.
Sunken City was also compared to that and
Yeah.
stuff. Six of Crows.
Right.
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, it's so good.
Honestly, though, like I think what he did so well is the fight scene. I am such a huge fan of like really vivid and like I can see like what you're describing. It's like thank you, sir. You did a great job.
And the world building amongst those fight scenes, like the things these Gorgantons can do and how they live and how they fight.
And then when you find out like why the world is the way it is at the end and why these things became into fruition, it's just amazing. Like you can't wait to read the second one, and hopefully I'm fingers crossed it does not disappoint as well. But honestly too, like the characters are I think are very well done. I would have liked to see Conrad maybe I feel like he's got nowhere to go. You know what I mean by that? Like I feel like his character arc is not that strong. I felt like there were more characters in the story that their character plot is already
He's
on the
definitely
way.
I mean his whole mission is to save his mom and sister.
Right. Right.
I mean that's
your
it.
mom's dead.
Mom
Your
died
sister,
pretty early.
And now like what's going to happen?
What
when you
can I do to
Right.
get into a position to save my sister?
Right. So then, you know, all in all, great book, great start to a trilogy. Again, if you guys love Attack on Titan, action-packed scenes like that, that is what
it's a ton of action.
It's a ton of action. So definitely highly recommend. Look at us. Both doing like high sci-fan kind of books here.
I didn't.
You didn't.
What
do you got?
Swapped we really did. I don't know. I went from the diving book the last time, so I needed something slightly lighter, only to go into something that wasn't really that light, and that's all right. This is an oldie but a goodie. It was redistributed, I think, last year with a new cover, but it's Alice Oseman's Radio Silence. Yeah, so it was originally written in 2017, but with her new cover.
Did she write this before?
And this was after Solitaire.
Oh, okay.
So this is before Heartstopper. So if the name Alice Oseman is familiar, she wrote the Heartstopper books that
What's that?
Brittin knows nothing about. But I saw the cover and it's her artwork, and I think I love her artwork. So she does a very good job of creating like cozy kinds of characters, and I think she does a really good job in this one too.
Yeah, she's definitely a vibe.
Yeah, I feel like she really understands teenagers, and not to say that I do, but I feel like I know these kids, and I feel like she does a good job of that. So Radio Silence I think it's in the same world as Heartstopper.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally different characters. You never meet Nick and Charlie. You never hear about them at all. These are different characters, but they mention Triggs, which is the school that they went to.
Well, Aled is in this one, right?
Yes, this is Aled's story.
Aled?
I call him Aled, yeah.
Aled is his best friend, and I'm forgetting, what's the name of the guy with the books in the TV shows?
Isaac.
So Isaac isn't a character in the graphic novel.
Right.
Isaac was created because Aled has this whole story.
Right.
He's in the graphic novels, but not in the TV show.
Aled and Isaac could not be more different, in my opinion. They're both extremely quiet, very solitary individuals, but Aled's way deeper, I think, than Isaac. But again, TV only is two-dimensional anyway. I feel like you get a lot more from a book. But anyway, Radio Silence is about... it's actually Frances's story. So Frances is, she's a student who is absolutely obsessed with this podcast called University. absolutely obsessed with it, has been a fan of it since its start, and she does like fan art, but she's embarrassed about it. It's kind of like, it reminded me of Fangirl, Rainbow Rolls Fangirl, because she does all of the artwork, all fan art and stuff like that secretly. Like she has books and books and books of all of her fan art, and it's like a guilty pleasure for her. So she doesn't like to talk about it. But one day she gets a direct message from University saying that we love your artwork. We'd love for you to do the artwork for the show.
Wow.
So
It's like every nerd's dream
yeah. So Frances basically lives two lives. She is head girl at her school. She's very academically focused. She's gonna go to Cambridge. Like that's her goal. She's all A's all the time, and she butts heads tremendously with the male top boy, Daniel. They just do not mesh. So the web that she creates is a little complicated to tell the backstory of this, but when a couple years ago, Frances was very good friends with this girl named Karis. Karis was not a good student at all. Karis was not a very good student, and after exams, she failed every single one of them. And Frances was there to celebrate because Frances got all A's, but she was there instead to be a shoulder to cry on, so to speak. And Frances winds up kissing Karis. And one thing that you need to know about this book, it is not very romantic at all. It's just not. In fact, it's more the asexual way, and like kissing and stuff like that is more a show of love than it is like any kind of sexual relation. Okay. So she kisses her, and Karis leaves. That's it. The last time she ever hears from Karis, and she literally leaves. Doesn't live at home anymore. Is just gone. Karis has a twin brother named Aled. So as the years go by, Frances becomes friends with Aled, only to find out that Aled is Radio Silence. He is the host of University and the creator. Now,
What?
yeah. So I'm not spoiling anything because that's in like the first 50 pages of the book. So, but Aled does not want anybody to know that he's the creator. It cannot be known. And one of the reasons why is because his mother, literature knows no more horrible human being than his mother. She's just a terrible person. If she finds out that he's doing this show, she will make him stop. Oh. So what this show is kind of like, it runs parallel to his actual life. So there's a character in there named February Friday, and
That's a good name.
Yeah. Solid.
And the listeners all assume that that's like the romantic interest. And so as Frances finds out about Aled, then she's trying to piece together, like, who's February? Like, who is this person? And she thinks it's one person, and then as the story continues on, she starts to realize, like, oh, no, it's somebody totally different. So we get to, like, halfway through, things are great. She's doing the artwork. He's getting more and more popular. Like, he's getting hits. Famous people are starting to tune into his podcast. And then all of a sudden, one drunken night, Frances accidentally posts something that shows his identity.
Ooh.
So it goes downhill very, very fast.
Oh, no.
So this is what I loved about this is it's both characters are very academically focused, and they live this totally separate life that has nothing to do with academics. Mm-hmm. And that's where they find their happiness. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they live in a world that's what they're supposed to do, is like go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a good job. Like that's what's ingrained in them. Mm-hmm. And then their real selves is missing out on life. Oh. Right. And I think that this story does a really good job of showing that like you can have both. You don't have to not do something that you love because you have these other goals in mind. Wow. So, and it's
that is a very important lesson that any teenager should seriously though. I love that. It's
really, really well done. It's not like soapboxy at all. Like she just does a really good job of like Aled it's a very sad, watching him spiral is very sad to watch. And seeing his friends unable to help him and basically crawling back to him, being like, we're at our wit's end, we need to help you. And like being at that point of desperation and then finding a way to get through it is just, she did a really good job of it. Very good story. I half listened, half read.
Okay.
Listening was a little weird because when they do the podcast, the voices always change. So I was like, who is this? But they did that intentionally because radio silence isn't supposed to have a gender. So it's supposed to be just an anonymous person.
Clever.
Yeah. But it's nice if you like the British accent, if you like to listen to that, because that's a British writer, so a British reader. But I enjoyed reading it a little bit more than listening to it. But
Awesome.
that's radio silence.
Yay. Thank you, Ashley. Sure. Rosa.
So I was supposed to talk about These Monstrous Gods by Oseman Hodge, but I was slogging through that. So I'm just going to talk about one of my favorite YA series because come March, it's going to celebrate its 10th anniversary.
Really?
Yeah.
I love this trilogy. This is like my bread and butter.
I feel like I just read that book,
It's
and I
so
read it when it
good.
was new.
So
Yeah.
good.
Not like
I was
6
gonna,
Rose.
I was gonna name one of my girls Kestrel because like
It's a gorgeous name.
beautiful name, and she was an
Yeah.
incredible character. All right, go
Oh
on, go
my
on,
God,
go
yeah.
on.
So in this fantasy alternate universe, we have the cold, militaristic people of Valoria who go down south and invade Haran, which is a more colorful, sort of warmer climate. And the daughter of the most successful general grows up in Haran. She's pretty privileged, and the expectation is, like other girls her age, is that by the time she turns 17, she either has to marry or join the military. So,
17, that's young.
right?
What crappy options? Okay, guess what? Get married
thing
or
is-
join the army.
The thing is, one, the main character, Kestrel, she literally just wants to play the piano. That's it. Like, she has no ambitions. She's really, really, really smart and really observant, like Sherlock levels of like intellect. But she doesn't really want to do anything with it. She just wants to play the piano and hang out with the woman who raised her, who is a Harani caretaker. And when her father finally tells her, you're about to turn 17 in a couple months, you need to tell me, are you going to get married or join the military? And she's like, can you come back to me in a bit?
I'll get back to you on that.
While she's like
We'll circle back
scheming.
on that one.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. And then one day she's out with her friend Jess at the market, and she somehow finds herself at the slave auction, and she buys a slave. And this slave, Aaron, is a Harani boy with a mysterious past and a connection to where she lives. And he has his own agenda. So his agenda is going to clash with Kestrel's ambitions, which will, start to appear, start to form. And as they fall in love, they have to kind of struggle with, like, what they want and how they're going to resolve this war between their nations. So, yeah, it's enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
It's pure gorgeousness in, like, book form. Like, the way Marie Rutkoski writes is amazing. And the way it progresses from, like, book 1 to book 2, I love the first 2 books, and then you hit a kind of a
Slump.
snag
Yeah.
in
Agreed.
book 3.
Agreed.
But then, like, it kind of picks up a little more at the end, and it's a really good resolution all around. But
So I don't like
Yeah.
trilogies.
Listen, the second one ended in such like a, like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Like, why? We were so good. And then
Yeah.
like the third one was just like, you're just like, I need to finish. I need to know what happens.
yeah,
But yeah, the Winner's Curse is one of my favorite trilogies. It definitely
Yeah.
is one of my favorite ones
like
out
the
there.
characters are just so well done. Like, you're really in Kestrel's head, and you really see her thought process because she's just so methodical.
Yes,
almost
that's
to
a
like
good
a
word.
point where it's a little she's a little cold. And that's what Aaron tells her, like, you're so guarded and, like, you're almost like a machine.
Right.
So,
But her like, the game that she plays, like in her head, and like the way that she uses like her ability to strategize, like through chess, like that always comes back up. And I love that part in the book. Like it's just always so good. And oh my God, the romance between these two.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like, why is this in YA? But it's not steamy like that.
It's
but
not.
It's so tense.
But like yes, it's electric. Like their love for each other.
Ashley's cracking up.
Ashley's glasses are foggy.
Two of you are just talking about steam and oh my God, relax over here.
Oh my gosh. It's good. It's good. The writing is good, all right?
And I wish like the game that they play here, Bite and Sting, is real. It sounds so much fun.
It does, right?
Like,
they play like this like board. It's like a chess kind of game, but it's like their own.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, please be real.
Yeah, right? That's definitely it. All right, so we're going to try a new segment to wrap up our podcast here called Teen Review. So we have like a volunteer program where our teens submit reviews of books that they've read and would recommend to other teens. So our review today comes from a 7th grader from GW. She read An Abundance of Katherines by John Green, 2006 novel. So we're really going back here in time. So here we go. John Green's 2006 novel, Abundance of Katherines, takes us through the astonishing journey of Colin Singleton's eventful summer. Colin, despite his last name, has dated 19 different Katherines. From first grade sweethearts to high school baddies, he has experienced it all in the Katherine world. Colin's 19th breakup with his 19th Katherine has truly broken his heart. He and his best friend Hassan decided to go on a road trip to Gutshot, Tennessee. Gutshot, Tennessee. When they arrive, they meet new people, see new things, and explore a new life. Colin Singleton falls in love with Lindsay, a non-Katherine, and finding a new love and a new self. This story teaches us about friendship, love, and growth. Colin and Lindsay become good friends and are always there for each other. This teaches us that friendship is an imperative in life, for Colin couldn't have made it out that summer without her. When reading, I found this book captivating at many points. For example, Colin and TOC, the other Colin, get into a huge fight. Fists flying everywhere, risking many injuries for friendship. This scene that Green crafted is truly action-packed. Scanning my eyes across Green pages made me feel like I was looking through Colin's own eyes at the world that he sees. I gained perspective and understood what it was like in his shoes to be a child prodigy, brought up so many expectations, and trying to fulfill them. An Abundance of Katherines would be a great book for anyone who is a fan of realistic fiction with a twist of romance. It's also great for anyone who is looking for an easy read that also helps us think deeply. This story of friendship, growth, and fresh perspective really opens up the mind to new possibilities. So,
Future librarian right there, or at least book reviewer.
Yeah, honestly, I think it was a pretty spot-on review. I remember reading this back in the day when it first came out and just remembering the character was very reminiscent of, what's the guy's name from Big Bang Theory? Sheldon.
Yeah.
Like just quirky, like weird, like, you know, like
he loves anagrams, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember the banter. Like I love the banter between the two friends. Like
that's John Green though.
Yeah, exactly.
He's good at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I see.
And quirky. Quirky characters.
I see where
they're going to Gutshot, Tennessee for the Archduke Franz Ferdinand's his grave or a monument or something. Why would Franz Ferdinand be buried?
Gutshot, Tennessee. Well, neither here nor there, but again,
even just the Katherines, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 19.
That's pretty fun. That's pretty
impressive.
impressive.
One of them didn't spell her name the same way.
No. But overall, I think this was a pretty spot-on kind of review.
Great review.
Anybody else have any take?
I didn't read An Abundance of Katherines, but I feel like the same kind of description could have been used for Looking for Alaska, and like he's just really good at creating those quirky, weird characters that find themselves in weird situations.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we got Paper Towns. Like, It's just, I mean, I feel like John Green doesn't really disappoint, especially with coming of age novels like that.
The one that really, Fault in Our Stars, which really kind of rocketed him commercially, I feel like was kind of different. from the rest
It
of
was,
his.
yeah.
I mean, not that I really enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but I think Rosa's got to look.
I think Rosa
Jump
doesn't
in.
like it.
Do you not like this book? Tell us.
Or do you not like John
I
Green?
don't think she likes John
No,
Green.
you're not a fan.
I
Not a fan.
tried.
Okay.
I really tried. I
Even
read,
Looking for Alaska?
Really?
Oh, it's
Why?
one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
I was like, I was really trying because he was getting all these good reviews, but.
I love when we disagree on books.
it's very, very realistic. And
Oh, it's
you're
not
not as
that.
much of a fan of...
Oh, I love contemporary. But something about his voice is a little pretentious to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I
can see
didn't. I
that.
didn't think that. The Fault in Our Stars was worth the hype.
No,
I
no.
didn't like.
It
and
was
I didn't.
too much
I don't
hype.
think
My
it's
first-
his best by far.
No.
And my first time reading Looking for Alaska, I was like, meh. Oh, it took me 2 times. The second time I read it, I was like, all right, I get it. But I can see what you're saying. He has a little bit of a.
But I think his characters are supposed to be. I mean, if you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
of Sheldon,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
and Colin
there's
is
an air
supposed to
of
be that way,
arrogance,
and
I
the
think.
general in
Yeah.
Looking for Alaska is supposed to be,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly. I love it. It's such a good
And
book.
Pudge is, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you were asking, I think for a TikTok, you were asking us about a book that you would love to reread
Is
for the
this the
first
one?
time. Looking for Alaska
Yeah?
would definitely be the one. I just felt like
Okay.
there was so much in there that I would have read differently if I'd seen it coming,
Okay.
you know.
That's why
So.
the second time I read it, I liked it
Right.
a lot more.
Right.
That is so interesting.
First time I was like.
Yeah.
The second time I was like, all right,
Totally
see what
made
you're
me.
doing here.
All right.
So,
Well,
excellent review.
yeah, hopefully we get a few more folks interested in John Green or not because of our review. And we
Or
hope-
doing reviews for us.
Yes, doing
Exactly. Yeah.
reviews.
So hopefully you guys will tune in next time. We'll have some brand new reads for April. Thanks for listening, guys, and thank you for joining me, ladies. Good night. Good night.
The All Booked podcast is written, directed, and hosted by Justin, Rosa, Ashley, and Brittin, and produced and edited by Olivia Esteban. All Booked is produced by the Ridgewood Public Library. Please consider subscribing and sharing with friends, and follow us on Facebook. You can find links to the books we talked about today in the description. Thanks for listening, and keep reading.